I want to start by saying good afternoon to everybody, and thanks so much for being here. A special thanks to our panelists who will be introduced in just a moment or two. But thank you again to everyone who's logging in to listen to this discussion. It means a lot to everyone at MMCC to see so many leaders and partners and friends of our coastline joining this conversation today. And what we're here to discuss is not theoretical. It's visible, urgent, and unfolding on our beaches in real time. We steward one of the most iconic and heavily used coastlines in the world. And that coastline, along this coastline, we're witnessing increasing environmental stresses, more frequent events, more complex marine mammal strandings, and a growing intersection between public safety, public health, and wildlife welfare. This reality requires partnerships and it requires leadership. And so I want to express my deep gratitude to Supervisor Horvath. Supervisor Horvath, you authored a critical motion to support Marine Mammal Care Center on multiple fronts, including both emergency surge funding during this most recent mass stranding event, as well as sustained ongoing operational support to help us build long-term capacity. That motion was co-authored by Supervisor Janice Hahn, and I want to thank her as well for her partnership and commitment to our coastline. And importantly as well, I want to thank every member of the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors for their unanimous support of that motion that you brought forward. That kind of unified leadership sends a powerful message about the county's commitment to public safety, environmental stewardship, and responsible governance. Supervisor Horvath, you've been a champion, not only of marine mammals, but of thoughtful cross-agency collaboration, recognizing clearly that when marine mammals strand on crowded beaches, it's not just a wildlife issue, it is public safety and public health and economic issues, and it's climate's resilience as well. So we're fortunate to have leaders like you who understand that complexity and are willing to act. And so it's my honor to welcome you to this discussion. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you for your fearless leadership and for all the ways that you have been inviting people into this critical work. I'm so thrilled to be part of the conversation today. This is one of the most important things we do in the county, and I'm grateful for the leadership your organization has shown to care for our coastline. We know that local government is facing challenges right now, and it feels like a new challenge emerges almost every day. We've seen the effects of climate change in our communities. We have seen it certainly on our shoreline. And with our rapidly changing environment, we saw a complete devastation of communities during the Palisades fire in my district. We had many other fires in my district, and of course the fires in Altadena as well in the 5th district. All of this is a new reality that we have to figure out how to navigate urgently. Los Angeles County has the most dynamic, visible, and heavily used coastline in the world. So this is something that is essential to the work that we do and critical to who we are as a region. What happens here doesn't happen quietly, of course. It happens in front of millions of people, both our residents and our visitors from around the world. And Los Angeles will only see more people come to visit our region in the coming years with the World Cup this year, the 2028 Paralympic and Olympic Games, the Super Bowl, and so many other things that will be bringing people to Los Angeles. We know one of the most dramatic examples that we have witnessed on our beaches in the last 4 years has been the algae blooms that we've been experiencing. This past year was worse with hundreds of sea lions and dolphins stranded due to them. And we know that there's been a lot of impact and a lot of need for the Marine Mammal Care Center. We appreciate your leadership. And as stewards of more than 25 miles of coastline from Rancho Palos Verdes to Malibu, I strongly believe that our county needs to step up, especially since who else will? And that's why we have a very strong Department of Beaches and Harbors committed to this work. And I'm proud that I was able to author the motion that you mentioned to make sure that we're providing investment into MMCC, and we want to continue that investment and that partnership because we know we need you. We need your expertise. We need all of your strong leaders and volunteers. But we certainly need the work that you are doing each and every day. And I know, unfortunately, we're going to need to expand your work because of the impacts that we've been seeing. I want to acknowledge the coastal cities of Long Beach, Rancho Palos Verdes, Redondo, Hermosa, and Manhattan Beach that have stepped up alongside the county to provide financial support as well. And we know this work requires multiple partners to come to the table, and that kind of work is essential in how we are able to work together as a region. Um, uh, we also know that public-private partnerships are essential to addressing issues like this, where public safety, public health, and wildlife conservation and welfare, as well as climate resilience and coastal economic health, all intersect. So I know it's hard to see our marine mammals suffering on our beaches during these mass stranding events. And I was able to proudly see them recover because of your extraordinary work. I toured your hospital in San Pedro. I encourage everyone to do so if you haven't already. It is truly life-changing work that is happening there, and I'm just honored that I was able to have that experience. Today, we actually have Dave Bader, our marine biologist at MMCC, who is joining us. He's in the patient rehab area to show us some of the current patients. Dave, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Dave, do you want to start your video? There we go.
There we go. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us here at the Marine Mammal Care Center. The voice you're hearing is Dave from the Marine Mammal Care Center, and we're looking at our largest pen here with 8 patients. These are California sea lion pups that came to us with malnutrition due to early maternal separation. These animals were born in June. They typically nurse for 6 to 9 months. They wean, go out to sea as life in the wild. And these guys ended up stranding because, mom separated from them a little bit early. We were able to rescue them, bring them to our hospital, and all of these patients here are well on the road to recovery. You can see that they're nice and happy, even in the rain. Doesn't seem to bother them at all. And what I want you to notice is these are our patients who are our healthiest, and the ones that are on the road towards rehabilitation and release. As we move along in the center, I want to introduce you to another patient. This is a different species. This is a northern elephant seal. It's a pup. Her name is Coral. And Coral came to us, again, with malnutrition. She's a yearling, so she was born last year, probably around January or February, and she's still very small. So we're helping her to get back up to weight so she can go back out into the ocean and do some pretty amazing things. These animals migrate all the way up to the North Pacific, and while they're doing that, they're spending almost all of their time underwater. They can hold their breath for over 2 hours when they're adults and dive over a mile deep. Here at the Marine Mammal Care Center, we see almost exclusively pups or animals that are just a year or so old. So that's our only seal right now. We have both seals and sea lions, but we expect to see some more of these guys coming a little bit later in March. Moving down the line, I'm going to introduce you to a few other patients. This pen right over here, we'll go to pen 2. We can see some of our patients who are a little bit younger and needing a little bit more attention. So they're in these smaller pools. This pool has Half Pipe and Goofy in this one. We're giving them some names from our Winter Olympics. So these also are California sea lions that have suffered from malnourishment. And we are feeding them with frozen thawed herring, which they get a whole bunch of 3 times a day.
Goldie and Mom.
And this is right here, Goldie, who's saying hello to everybody. And then as we move along, we're seeing some of our hospital space back here as well. This is where we prepare the food for the animals, and we perform any medical treatments that they might need. So this is our food prep room, one of our volunteers helping us to clean and feed. And then right now, this is one of our dry pens where during our busiest times of year, if I want you to imagine this space just covered in animals, front to back, side to side, when we get full, we get very full, and we use all the space that we can to be able to do the treatments that we need to do. I want to thank everybody for all of your support, and I want to encourage everybody, as Supervisor Horvath said, to come down and visit us. You can go to our website, schedule a visit. We would love to have you. We're open Friday through Monday from 10 to 4 p.m. And with that, John, I'm going to toss it back to you.
Thanks, Dave. And actually, I'm going to toss it back to Supervisor Horvath.
Sounds good. I just cannot thank you enough, Dave, and your entire team for what you're doing. As everyone saw, they're using like every last square inch of that place to make sure that every animal that can be helped is that everyone has the ability to jump right in and do all that they can. And so make sure that you're investing in this critical work, because there's no one doing this work like it. And so thank you, Dave, and your entire team. And I especially want to thank our next speaker, Melanie Lundquist, who is just the most fearless, the most accomplished, the most dedicated leader who has been supporting not only the Marine Mammal Care Center, but so many issues that impact our region. But today, she is going to show exactly why she is the advocate we need in our region for this work. She not only has made it a personal commitment of hers, but she's also, advocating for policy. She is working in the community. She is showing up in every way possible to transform our region in this work. So I couldn't be leaving you in better hands than with her to continue this conversation. My friend, Melanie Lundquist, I'll turn it to you.
Thank you, Supervisor Horvath. You have provided such tremendous leadership and commitment to Los Angeles County and MMCC. I'm proud to call you my friend. You're a problem solver. You roll up your sleeves and you get things done, like the county's critical support of our marine mammals. As one of their largest private donors, I am grateful to you for leading a true public-private partnership with MMCC. I'm a real believer and fan of public-private partnerships. I think that we cannot expect to leave it all up to government, and we need to jump in and work together. And I know you have back-to-back meetings today, and I appreciate your being with us very, very much. And I know you're going to be signing off as we head into our panel discussion. So thank you. And a round of applause for Supervisor Horvath and everything you do. It's amazing.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much, Melanie.
Thank you. So now I'd like to introduce our panelist. John Warner, who you've already heard from. He's a longtime friend, but most importantly, a fantastic leader for the Marine Mammal Care Center. We also have Gary Jones, director of the LA County Department of Beaches and Harbor. And rounding out our panel is Assistant Chief of LAFD's Lifeguard Division, Adam Ahara. So thank you all for being here and for caring deeply about our coastline and our marine mammals. What we're talking about today, it's not abstract and it's not theoretical. It's happening on our beaches regularly, and it's becoming a growing risk to public safety, public health, and animal welfare. Marine mammals are centennials. When they strand, they're telling us something about the health of our oceans. And today, that signal reflects accelerating environmental change and increasing frequency of crisis events. So today we're bringing together county leadership, frontline responders, and all of you committed to philanthropy, because solving this requires all of us to work together. So let's begin with the biggest picture here. John, MMC has been in the news frequently over the past few years. So from your perspective, what has fundamentally changed along our coastline?
Big question. So I think what's fundamentally changed is not the importance of our ocean to our own health, but rather the intensity and the frequency of the stressors that are hitting it all at one time. So along our coastline, from our perspective at MMCC, we're seeing more frequent harmful algal blooms, which is why, unfortunately, we've been in the news a lot. Warmer ocean temperatures that shift prey patterns, which lead to more malnutrition events, more extreme weather and disaster events with lots of impacts regarding runoff. And that runoff being just from the water coming down when it rains to sewage spills that seem more frequent, pollution, runoff, all of that has an impact on our marine ecosystem. And of course, closer and more frequent human wildlife interfaces in a very urban ocean environment. So some of these things that I mentioned that are more like the harmful algal blooms and disease outbreaks used to be more episodic in time frame, 3 to 7 years. We'd see those. Now we're seeing them every single year, or much more frequent recurring cycles of it. And as you said, marine mammals really are sentinel in terms of what human health impacts might be coming our way. And so what happens in our ocean, what happens to these animals is something we should pay attention to, if not because for the sole reason of just caring about the animals, for our own health impacts and the impact on our planet. So, we're focused on not just treating the individual animals, but really witnessing, documenting, and preparing to respond to these systematic and rapid real changes that are happening in real time. And that's also something that we have to do even more of as we go into the future.
John, do you consider this to be the new normal?
I'd say 4 years in a row would qualify as a new normal to me. I think there's no real data points or data from the past that we can rely on anymore to tell us what to expect. So, yes.
Thank you, John. My second question goes to Gary. And Gary, first off, thank you for all you and your team at Beaches and Harbors have done to help during the past crises and all that you're doing now to prepare for the future ones. So my question is, from an operational standpoint, what does a large stranding event mean for beaches and harbors?
Thank you, Melanie, and good afternoon to everybody. It's a pleasure to join this panel, and thank you for everyone that cares so deeply about the coastline of Los Angeles as we do. The Department of Beaches and Harbors is responsible across 70 miles of county coastline for 18 beaches, and as John has just described, the new norm, unfortunately, is these strandings. So our staff that are out typically very early in the morning are oftentimes the first to come across these stranded animals. And oftentimes they're not in secluded areas of our beaches. They're in beaches that are, highly popular with our residents and visitors. So it's that coordination when they come across an animal, knowing who to contact, the appropriate agency, and John's team is wonderful in terms of being available and the training that he's been able to provide our crews. But it's coming across the animal, knowing what to do, and then oftentimes informing the public who see these distressed animals, want to help or want to know what's occurring. So it's that that just unfortunate regular occurrence that we are now seeing up and down the coastline.
Melanie, could I just add a special thank you to Gary and your team? A lot of times what you first encounter your team are animals that have passed away, and there's a wide variety that wash up on our beaches, and your staff are the ones that are seeing them, having to find a disposal mechanism to lay them to rest, and keep the beaches clean and healthy for people. And there's a tremendous weight that is put on people when they have to do this day in, day out. And so I think I'd just like to ask people as they're at the beaches, if you see beaches and harbor staff, just say thank you. They've got a tough job a lot of the time, and they do a really tremendous amount of work
Mhm.
on multiple fronts. This is just one aspect of their work, but a big thanks to them, and hopefully everyone can give them a high five or a thank you when they're on the beaches this spring and summer.
Thank you, Gary. Your first thank you.
Thank you.
Per John. Okay, next question is for Adam, our lifeguard. Adam, we're going to switch gears from a more department-wide standpoint to focusing literally on the people that are keeping our beaches safe. So from a lifeguard perspective, what does a mass stranding event like we saw this past year with the demonic acid look like on the sand?
Obviously, it's part of the mission of the fire department and lifeguard division to protect life, property, and environment. So being on the front line, going out there, responding, making those notifications, and like Gary was saying, educating the public to make sure that they're interacting with the marine mammal appropriately, it really does have a deep impact to us on the front line. Being out there, it does take an emotional toll when you saw those mass numbers. A lot of lifeguards were emotionally affected. Luckily, we have a pretty robust peer support program, and we've seen some tragic things, obviously, but it's all part of the job. And being out there, our lifeguards do amazing work each and every day, being part of the community and being the outreach that we have, and just the interaction and the trust that is instilled by all the beachgoers with us. It really helps make a difference and makes our job really effective on those responses. And when the marine mammal does get on feed, we help assist them and with the marine mammal, whether it be a whale, a seal, a dolphin, or whatever we can do to assist, because we do have the specialized equipment like beaches and harbors to assist in certain ways to make things a lot easier for our responding agencies and NGOs.
Adam, how does this intersect with your public safety responsibilities?
It really directly interacts because environment is one of our major core values and our missions out there that we respond to it. So being out there, we want to make sure obviously the public's safe when they go out there and they're interacting with the marine mammals. Occasionally, that doesn't happen too frequently, but if someone gets too close, the marine mammal might attack, or not attack, but bite, because they have that demoic response to them. And so we like to keep the public away by educating them and staying a safe distance away from those marine mammals that are really struggling out there. And people are really caring and they really want to get out there, like Gary is saying, and really want to help. So just trying to educate them, and sometimes the best help they can do is by just staying back and just waiting for the professionals to come and to respond. So that really public education, that public safety portion is really where we come in and try to help bridge that gap and make sure the public's safe and the marine mammal is cared for appropriately.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you for everything your department does. Really important work. And, we're not going to be safe without you. That's all there is to it. I'd like to ask all of you, what does a successful coordination look like between your teams? Because that's really key to the success of the service that's being provided, and it's key to the outcomes of what you do.
Yeah, I'm happy to go first on this one. There's so much to this question. I'd say, especially over the last few years, with these increasing mass strandings, we've learned just how important sort of emergency response planning and coordination is, and still a lot to do on that front in terms of coordination, not just with us here on this panel, but all of our coastal cities. And other public health department, for instance, would be one. As well as, I think, on the front lines, just the time it takes to respond. For us anyway. So the faster we can get there, the more pressure we can take off of lifeguards, who do have a human safety mission, of course. And when we had so many earlier in 25 and in 23 animal stranding, I think it put some strains on which activity was priority, human safety or animal safety, and you want to make sure that we're not causing any gaps in what everyone's able to provide in keeping the beaches safe. And then timely communication amongst all of us. I think we've gotten much better at that with how to activate that sort of phone tree or email or text tree so that people know what's happening and going on. And then on the public education side, what we see a lot are people are crowding by because they want to know what's going on. They care so much. And when they're seeing, as we saw this last year, dolphins seizing on the beach and a lot of times passing away before anyone could get there, it takes an emotional toll that we feel a great responsibility to help people process that, and information is key to that. And so being there for that is also quite important. And again, takes the pressure off of folks that need to do other work related to other mission areas that they have. So I'll let Gary and Adam respond as follow-up.
Yeah, thanks, John. For us, it's clearly to define and to ensure it's communicated across all of our workforce, our role, to have a response plan that is based on knowing what that role is, and for that response to be as rapid as possible. As John said, time is often of the essence. And so knowing who to contact and knowing that is a consistent communication, and that we know the agencies and the organizations involved that we need to work with. We're often working very closely with the lifeguards, they're also involved as well. So that knowing, what one another's agencies' roles are in this. And as you said, the communication with the public is also important in terms of, the coordination around any incident that, trying to, ensure that the animals are given space and seclusion while we are waiting for a response. And the communication around that is, vital, as just as knowing, exactly what our role is in it.
Thank you very much. Let's talk about the future for the next bit of time. Gary and Adam, if you look ahead from 5 years from now, if these events that we've had continue or intensify, what concerns you the very most?
What concerns me is really just the safety of the public, because luckily we're a robust lifeguard agency and we could handle the response. And unfortunately and fortunately, just with the mass strandings that we've had and we've talked about, our communication is really strong amongst the agencies to get a appropriate response. But my primary concern is really to the public, and obviously the environmental issues that's caused to those marine mammals. It is really sad to see, so many sick animals on our beaches, and the public really takes effect to it as well. So our heart really goes out to the public. And just, sometimes if a response, the marine mammal does a great job of responding in a timely manner, but sometimes our personnel are out there with the public and just talking to them and just really getting the emotional breakdown from the public. It really does have an effect on our first responders to that. So just the repetitive nature of that does cause, some buildup of trauma, like I said, and it's just really heartbreaking for the public and for some of our employees as well that have to deal with that. So that's kind of one of our big concerns.
Thank you, Adam. John?
Oh, wait. Is it okay, Melanie, if both Gary and I answer that question? Because I think
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, yes, it is
Yeah.
definitely okay.
Okay, Gary, you want to go first?
Sure. Thanks, John. In terms of 5 Look Outlook, it really for me is our ability capacity-wise to sustain our work and effort that is needed in our role in responding to the strandings. Our beaches, our coastline are valued open space, public space by many, many people. but we share that with the wildlife that also call those areas home. And the balance of the additional operational challenges as we see more and more visitors and patrons to our beaches. We have major events coming to Los Angeles in this year and certainly in 2028 is really our ability to capacity wise to be able to to provide the resources necessary that we should be providing.
Yeah, and Melanie, to capacity, um, we've seen in the last couple of years just no room to bring an animal. So even if we could rescue, we've just run out of room consistently now with our facility that was built almost 30 years ago when the number of strandings was much less. So that's a worry of mine because all of this can't be fixed if there's nowhere to bring one of these animals that's sick. The other is just, I think, some of the potential for even larger mass strandings than we've seen already in Southern California exist, and not to over accentuate a fear-based narrative here, but if we look at South America and avian flu, that had tens of thousands of animals just dying within 2 days of stranding with a communicable disease that is zoonotic and humans can catch. And I mean, just a much scarier scenario that I have to say, I don't feel like any of us are really prepared for at this moment, but know that we need to get there. Some of the challenges Gary and his team face are there's only so much room to dispose of carcasses. If you had a South America event here, we need to figure just logistical things out, not to mention what the worries are for the population of these animals that have rebounded since the Marine Mammal Protection Act was passed and are having tons of threats thrown at them that really call into question their health in the long run. And I think that's a big concern of mine. So I'll leave it at that, even though I'm sure I could list off 5 more things with that question.
Well, John, actually, the next question was for you, and you've already answered it. So good job. In closing, let's take just a moment to stop talking about the crisis and end on a positive note. In one sentence, in a lightning round, what gives you hope? Adam, let's start with you.
What gives me hope is that every day we come to the beach and you see such a beautiful environment, the water, the ocean, the beach, the sunset, and then the people really do care. And it just gives hope to, what a great society and community that we're part of, that they care so much about the marine mammals out there, that they want to do anything possibly that they can help, by making those notifications. So that's what really gives me hope. I know that's more than one sentence, but
that's
it's
great.
The people,
that's
the people in the community.
Thank you. Gary?
That we are, as an example, here this afternoon, talking about this issue, trying to get a better understanding of what we all can do to assist and really problem solve in a way that is sustainable and really embraces the challenge that we unfortunately know that we face. So it gives me hope that we have someone like John that's leading this organization, and that we're talking to one another, that we and our lifeguard partners are talking and communicating. So that does give me hope. And again, that's longer than one sentence, but
that's great.
Where I'm at.
John?
Yeah, I'm going to work the people part. So like working alongside great people, the staff at the center, volunteers, our supporters, our partners, like we have on the panel. like coming together regardless of the backgrounds we have, beliefs or our politics, all in a common cause based on just the sheer fact that we care. And I think, it's easy to hear from polarizers more than uniters. And I encourage everybody, if you're not out there volunteering, go volunteer. It's amazing to be around a real diverse group of people who all get along, who all have common cause. And I think it's a good antidote to sort of the news channels and the feeds that we get on a regular basis. And that's what gives me hope that we can accomplish anything we set our minds to.
Well, let me, I'm gonna chime in too with a sentence or two. What gives me hope is the coordination and the collaboration of all of you, because we are better together.
Yeah.
We can do these things together. Individually, it does not work well. And this collaboration that you are all sharing with us is really the most hopeful thing we've heard in a long time. The other thing too is the other thing that gives me hope is philanthropy, because when I was growing up, public dollars covered everything. That is not true today. And so philanthropy really needs to step in and provide the private side of these public-private partnerships and become involved. I really think that philanthropy can do an awful lot, and it really does need to step up. And these mammals are helpless, and it's our job to take care of them. But we cannot do it with only public dollars. It has to be private dollars as well. So that's another thing that gives me hope, is that philanthropists are stepping up and are seeing the need and are beginning to understand much more clearly what their role can be.
Yeah.
And it's an important role, and it's another piece to the puzzle. And I love collaborating with Marine Mammal Care Center with John on many things relating to the work that they do. And um, it's a lot of fun, and it's very, very rewarding. Very rewarding. The times we're living in are pretty tough. And I think that if people are feeling hopeless, go down there and volunteer and do something for these stranded pups. And I can tell you, I promise you, I know from experience, you will feel so much better about yourself and the world, and you will start to feel hopeful. But, I like what you just said. Let's not be a polarizer. Let's be a unifier. And that is exactly what volunteers are. They're unifiers. And because they come out much more positive than they went in that day. And it's a really important thing for our civilization. So, well, again, I want to thank you to our lifeguards and beaches and harbor for their support of our marine mammals. It means a great deal. And John, would you like to offer some closing remarks?
Yeah, well, people are asking questions in the chat, so I want to give folks an
Oh,
opportunity.
okay, good.
And then I'll close this out. So I don't. I'm looking at the chat right now, so give me just a moment. And if there's any questions, please use the chat to ask your question. One of the first questions was, how long do the animals typically stay with us? And I'd say on average, a month or two. It really depends upon what they came in for. Malnutrition might take a little bit longer with an elephant seal. Some of the diseases that they come in with, if they respond to medication, could be faster. So highly dependent, but somewhere within a month or two is generally within the time frame that they're at the center. We, of course, want to get them back to their ocean home as quickly as possible, but want to do that when they're all healed. So, um, Let's see. Oh, a very big question. What is the root cause of how our actions are involved with the declining health of the ocean? Uh, well, it gets a little philosophical, I suppose, but I don't know. When I think about that question, I think sort of the days of thinking of the ocean as an endless place to either overconsume from or dump without consequences is over. And I think a lot of it comes from that attitude that because it's so huge and deep and covers most of the planet, that somehow our actions over time can't add up to a tipping point. And I think we're seeing that's absolutely not the case. So our behaviors need to match the new reality of that fact. I'd say that's probably the best I can answer that in short order without going too deep. But our behaviors are really important, both collectively and individually. And I think that's that. I don't know if anyone else has another answer to that. You're on mute, Melanie.
Oh, I think one thing to point out, John, is that our oceans are 71% of our planet. So if our oceans aren't healthy, we don't have a healthy planet. It's just that simple. And, I don't want to say thank God the mammals are getting sick, but because of what's happening to them, it gives us really good indicators that our oceans are not healthy.
Yeah, the red flag has definitely been raised by all the things that live in the ocean. So it's time to do something about it. And I hope that policies on the federal level are remain sort of nonpartisan, just like the beginnings of a lot of the environmental legislation that we rely on today, like the Marine Mammal Protection Act, Clean Water Act, Clean Air Act. When those threats to those pieces of legislation come up, people responding and letting their legislators know how they feel about it is crucial. And there is some potential risk to the Marine Mammal Protection Act right now. So please contact your elected officials to let them know that it needs to stay in place because animal populations are not healthy and they're not in the clear by any stretch of the imagination. So keeping eyes on that are important. One of the other questions, so where are the euthanized bodies going? So I think, Gary, we could answer this together, but the key word for me was euthanized. Right now, when we euthanize most animals, it's with medication or drugs that require us to dispose of them in a particular way. And so the majority, though, are animals that are deceased when they're washing up, and that's something beaches and harbors deals with. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Gary? Or
Yeah, certainly. So, in those cases, we will find areas of the beach to do that, burial. But as you said, if they've been euthanized and there are protocols in place, where we can't do that, obviously that involves another method of removal. And that's part of what you were touched on, and thank you for mentioning it. The impact that does have on the folks that are dealing with that. It's not necessarily something that somebody that comes to work for beaches and harbors is initially thinking that they would be involved with, but that is sadly what occurs.
yeah, and part of the issue with the euthanasia medications is you don't want scavenger animals, to eat from a carcass, a dead carcass, which they're apt to do, and then ingest those, or have them be a human health issue, or even go into the water. So there are ways of disposing. We had, this last mass shredding event in 25, we had some serious capacity issues with just carcasses at the center, let alone on the beach. And LA Sanitation was really responsive and amazing, but we don't have the capacity in the entire system to deal with very large events that we have not yet had to endure, and hopefully don't have to in the near future. But those are all things that have to come into play as we see these rapid changes to our environment, both on land and in the ocean, of course. So yeah, everything becomes more of an issue. Just seeing if there's more questions here. One is, how can we help or best educate the public with coping with death. Adam, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the strategies used by lifeguards for that? I know you touched on it earlier, but
So with our own staff, we have a peer support program, and then the public, it's more of just like educating and talking to the public when they come, because they have those questions. And luckily, we have a great relationship with the Marine Mammal Care Center, so we have those tidbits of information to help provide closure to the public and try to address the concerns to the best we can. So that's what we do.
And just looking to see if there's a last question here. Somebody asked about what's the ideal procedure for our team and lifeguards to be interfacing. I'll just say so how we find out about animals that strand on beaches, because we have right now 3 full-time and 2 part-time responders. So we have on average 2 people who can respond to animals on our staff each day, 7 days a week. So they can't be physically seeing all of these. So we have a hotline number, 1-800-39-WHALE. We encourage everyone to spread and share that number for the public to call and report an animal in distress. But of course, beaches and harbors and lifeguards are key users of that number. And a lot of times the first to come across some of these animals struggling on the beaches. So that's one. And then I know our teams interface with each other on text and just phone on a regular basis. Same with our vets. So, there were lots of dolphins in 2025. I think many people encountered this, and a lot of that was keeping them comfortable and free from additive human stress while we tried to get to them in time. Unfortunately, 100% mortality event with dolphins and domoic acid, but we can hopefully get to them in a timely manner to humanely euthanize. But one of the things we saw were lifeguards with these dolphins for up to an hour, where we just driving to Santa Monica from San Pedro can take up to 2 hours sometimes. And unfortunately, just the timeliness of response is difficult when we have a small team and we're located sort of at the southern end of the county. So that's part of the future for us, at least, is to, really explore additional capacity. That's additional facilities. Maybe that would also help cut down response time and be closer, so that we're able to manage people and facilities more along the coastline to reduce those response times, which are also really critical to reduce for the animal's health in the back of a truck. It's stressful. And we want to not be driving them as long as we currently are all of the time. So lots of things that need to be solved as we move forward, looking at how we accomplish that. But Adam, did you want to say anything else about that?
No, just for us, I mean, like John's team, like he said, it's a small team. They can't be everywhere. For us, we were patrolling the beach actively during daylight hours and have a 24-hour response. So most of the time we will come across those strandings and marine mammals first, or they'll get notified through the hotline, and they'll contact us to see if we can ensure that there actually is a marine mammal in the area. I think just even 2 weeks ago, we had that entanglement off PV where they reached out to us, and we have our rescue boats that were able to go and attempt to locate that whale that was entangled off Paus Verdes and whatnot. So it goes both ways. And most of the time, if it's on the beach, we'll make those notifications to the Marine Mammal Care Center or the California Wildlife Center, or whichever jurisdiction that we're in, to get those responses going. So.
John, this is really so, in of itself is very educational, because I don't think most of the time too many people think about lifeguards having this as their responsibility. We think of lifeguards on the beach. And I don't think we think much about this other role that beaches and harbors and lifeguards really do have. So thank you.
Yeah, and I think it really points to why we started talking about public-private partnerships with the starting in 23 with the mass stranding event. It's hard for a small nonprofit to bear the weight of all of that as well. And so it really does require us all working together, being in close contact, sharing strategies and resources. And it definitely points to, it takes all of us to solve some of these big problems that we're starting to see. And we're talking about the ocean, and there's problems on land as well. But I've also come to learn the lifeguards do so much more than I ever thought they did, and same with beaches and harbor staff. So it's also a good thing to just go up and say, hey, what is all that you do? It's amazing how much can be accomplished with just learning more about what we all have to deal with in life. So
True.
yeah. So I don't see any more questions, Melanie.
All
So
right.
thank you, and I want to say thank you to you, Melanie. You were the one who really let me know about the job here in LA. And encouraged and inspired me to move down and take this role. And I have to say, I have fallen in love with Southern California, and really impressed by how much people care. And every conversation I've had with partners has always started with, thank you for what you do and how can we help? It's really been just effective governance for all of the conversations that we've had, and want to thank everyone down here for that, and everyone who cares so much about the beach and the animals and the ocean itself. It's just, that also keeps us going. Everyone at the staff every day, just knowing how much people care, because when people care, we can accomplish the impossible, and that's important for us to remember.
We can accomplish anything as long as we work together.
Exactly. So thank you, everyone who joined. Really appreciate it. Want to see you at the center. I put the website in there, but it's marinemammalcare.org/visit. And want to see you at the center. And please say hello when you come, and say hello to our beaches and harbor staff and lifeguards. And Melanie, thank you. Thank you. I will see you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, John. Thank you, Adam and Gary. Really, really appreciate your time this morning.